Good morning and good afternoon, depending where you are in the world. My name is Cyrus Nilsson, and I am a technical evangelist for IBM Tivoli Storage. Today, I would like to welcome you to an IBM Storage software demonstration of Unified Recovery Management. I will demo the Tivoli Storage Manager Suite for Unified Recovery, or TSM for short. Designed to lead in areas of scale and economic efficiency, TSM software is available as a single offering, licensed simply on the amount of data TSM protects. First, I want to show you our backup policies. Let's get started. I am logging into our centralized management portal. And in here, I can navigate to our policies. With TSM, systems that are to be protected are associated with policies that define how TSM is to protect those systems. You see here that we have defined policy domains, policies, for applications and databases, file server, and virtual machines. I am going to open the file service policy so you can see the type of information contained in a policy. As you can see here, we are keeping data for 90 days. I'm going to open the policy, and the important settings are behind the Backup Settings tab. And this is all you have to do to create a policy for Tivoli Storage Manager. I will now create a sample policy. So I navigate back to my service policy, and here I want to create a new schedule. I want to use the existing policy, and as you can see, we already have a schedule here. And what I'll do now is create a new schedule, and that is a sample schedule. It will begin at 10 p.m. and complete by 3 a.m. for every day of the week except Saturdays. So this wizard comes up. Sorry, I kicked myself out here. To go back there. Okay, again, create a sample schedule. A wizard comes up. I click Next. And this is my sample. I want to back up data. Click Next. I want to do an incremental forever backup. We'll talk about that later. And I want to select to repeat on one or more days of the week. I have all the flexibility here to define how that schedule should work. I can go every day of the week except Saturday. Schedule priority would be 5. I can select priority here. And I just realized that I didn't put in 10 o'clock p.m. I'll just go back and put in a 10 p.m. start. So the schedule will start at 10 p.m. Priority again, I can set any type of priority, and 5 hours is my window. 10 p.m. Select every day of the week, except Saturday. Schedule priority. Hours here, 5 hours to finish. And now I can select the machines that I would like to protect, and those are the servers. So those are the servers that we protect. We can select one or all. I'm going to select all. I get a summary. I click Finish, and my sample schedule is now done. Since this was just a sample, I want to start a real schedule right now. So in normal operation, TSM would automatically kick off these schedules tonight to capture the first set of backup copies. For demonstration purposes, we're going to use the Run Immediate feature, Run Now feature of these schedules to capture our first set of copies right now. I will do this for the file servers now, and then I will do it for the applications and databases, and then for the virtual machines. So what I'm doing here, I'm kicking off a backup for all 20 servers that we have in our environment, making up about 200 gigabytes of data, and I will then, in addition, perform snapshot backups, leveraging disk subsystems on one file server, on one Microsoft Exchange, and on one Microsoft SQL server. So these are, again, my file servers. I'll just select all of them, and all I have to do is click OK, and we can see the schedule started as schedule number 90. Now let's do the same thing for our applications and databases. We have prepared a schedule here, applications, and that schedule is going to start now. So I'll choose my Exchange server that I have in my environment and my Microsoft SQL server. Click OK, and that was it. Last but not least, I will protect my virtual machines. Virtual machine schedules are divided in two schedules. So I have created one for Hyper-V, and I have created one for VMware. Let's start with Hyper-V. Again, run this schedule right now. And Hyper-V runs on FoxMod 2. That's where my hypervisor sits. It does host 5 virtual machines. And now I'll do VMware. Again here, run now. And I'm selecting again my VMware hypervisor. It also hosts 5 virtual machines. Done, and another schedule started. So, while our enterprise backup is running, I would like to take the time to describe the demo environment and to talk about TSM's unique differentiators. Okay, keep in mind my backup is running right now, so I'm protecting 200 gigabyte worth of data right now in the background. The backup will take a couple minutes to finish. So everything you saw and are going to see is running on live systems. Our demo environment is comprised of 5 VMware guests, 5 Hyper-V guests, 5 physical servers running Windows, one of them with 10 Microsoft SQL Server instances, and one of them with 100 Exchange mailbox instances. We have 3 physical servers running Linux and 2 physical servers running Unix. In our case, it's AIX. Let's talk a little bit about TSM policies. TSM policies are simple. We ask a couple of basic questions. how many past versions of a file do you want to keep? You have seen here that we have asked TSM to keep up to 90 versions. If a file is changing every day, TSM will capture those versions in the first 90 days. If a file only changes once a quarter, capturing 90 versions could take a really long time, like 22 years. If a file only changes a quarter, that's where the second question comes in handy. The second question is there a limit to how long you want to keep those versions? The last questions we have to answer for TSM is, where do you want the copies kept? Where do you want to store the copies? TSM can implement any variety of locations you like, including disk-to-disk, disk-to-tape, disk-to-disk-to-tape, disk-to-cloud, and disk-to-disk-to-cloud. As I mentioned before, for this demonstration, we have used disk-to-disk so far. The important thing to remember is that with TSM, there is no complicated configuration of backup jobs for daily incrementals, weekly and monthly fulls, grandfather, father, son rotations. TSM administrator simply set the policy and TSM automates the management. We call this the incremental forever or progressive incremental paradigm. We also use the same paradigm for VMware virtual machines leveraging VMware's change block tracking function. In short, using this paradigm, we transmit less data, we store less data, and therefore save money. Okay, our backup is still running, so let's spend a minute talking about where the copies get stored. I mentioned TSM can implement any variety of locations you like for storing copies. Because TSM supports storing copies on disks, tapes, VTLs, filers, and accelerators to public storage clouds like Amazon S3 and Glacier, Nirvanix, Microsoft Azure, AT&T Synaptic Storage, and others, our clients have almost unlimited flexibility in how they want to efficiently store their copies. For this demonstration, we're going to show you how to configure disk-to-disk-to-cloud storage. That will be the next step. This specific approach is used by both global backup cloud providers like IBM Smart Cloud Managed Backup and by more regional MSPs like Cobalt Iron in the United States and FrontSafe in Europe. Let's have a look at the target server for our cloud-based replication in this environment. We use TSM's node replication feature to transfer data to a sample cloud provider. So let's pick up with the demo and take a look at our cloud target. I simply navigate to Manage Servers. Manage Servers will show me the TSM server which we are using. We are using a TSM server called TSM Demo, and we have defined a target which is called TSM Cloud. And that target sits in the cloud. Let me real quick close my policies here. And navigate back to the Manage Servers screen. Oh, I apologize, I didn't scroll here, so they actually came up already, and we can see the TSM Demo server. That is the server we are using for this demo. And in here, we can see how our node replication feature is being defined. Let's go ahead and do that. And all we really need to define is a target. And that target for our demo here is TSM Cloud. We can manage the target from here, so we can change the target replication server. We could change it, let's say, from a cloud target to a local target if we would like to. And we can also remove it here, and we can enable and disable the replication through a simple checkbox, and we can also define the retention of replication records. So that's really all you need for the definition of a target. And what I want to do next is I want to actually kick off the node replication. So with the disk-to-disk-to-cloud configuration done, TSM will automatically replicate already captured copies, backup, archive, or TSM to the cloud. For demonstration purposes, I will simply select an action here to execute the replication to the cloud now. TSM does this through administrative schedules. Usually this is a schedule that runs unattended in the background. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to show how it is defined. The replication to cloud is the schedule, which I will use here. It's inactive at this point in time. Let's take a closer look at that schedule. So it's a simple command that will replicate all of our protected servers over to the cloud. I set this active now, and right now it's 10:05 a.m. server time, so I will change the runtime to the 21st, and I will then pick 10:25 a.m. as the start time. Schedule priority would be 2, and I can also change the schedule repetition here. I don't want to do this. I just want to kick it off. I click OK, and now the actual replication is running. Okay? So we have now not only a backup running, we have also running a replication into the cloud. Okay, in the last few minutes, we've configured policy and schedules. We've taken our first set of backup copies, we connected it to the cloud, and kicked off the replication of our copies to the cloud. Before we move on, I want to spend a few moments proving to you that the backup copies we have captured are in fact recoverable. For many of our clients, the fact that TSM performs a cyclic redundancy check, or CRC check for short, between the source and the target, and then again at the target every time copies move from one storage location to another, is plenty of assurance that data is recoverable. However, some clients take the time to actually test recoverability. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate here. So I will not only show you our CRC settings and how are they being enabled, I will also log into sample application and database filers and also file servers and take a look and actually mount drives or mailboxes to verify recoverability. So the first thing I want to do is now show you our CRC settings. Our CRC settings are behind storage devices. I can simply navigate in my centralized management portal to the storage devices, and I can take a look how they look like. And we can see that we have 4 storage pools here. These are all disk pools. We can also have libraries here. So we could have a storage pool that is made up of a tape library or even an optical or a cloud target. So storage pools are where we keep the data. In this demo environment, the one that we're using is one simple one, which is called dedupe pool. It has 500 gigabyte of capacity, and we can see that it's already used 10%. So the 10% or 11.9% right now is actually the amount of data that we have backed up. Okay. All right. So let's look in the storage pool. Let's have a closer look. This is the name. It's called dedupe pool. We are leveraging data deduplication for some of our scenarios here. TSM has built in data deduplication. Data deduplication can be performed on the client side or on the server side. TSM supports both options. And this is where we set it. Identify duplicate data. This is where you have a checkbox where you can actually set the identification. And on top of that, and this is what I want to show here, is the checkbox for enabling data validation using a cyclic redundancy check, a CRC check. So all we have to do is check this box and the validation takes place, and that gives us plenty of assurance that the data is actually, that the data which we send from a client to a TSM server is actually recoverable. It also applies for data sent from one TSM server to a cloud target. Okay, that was the CRC setting. I will now log into one of our file servers and mount a volume from a snapshot backup to prove recoverability for one individual file. Let's go ahead and do that. What you see here is our TSM Flash Copy Manager console. This is what an administrator would see if he or she would log into the file server. And we can see a volume, K, here, and that volume has been backed up. Let's real quick look at Explorer. In Explorer, we can see that K drive, and it has a number of demo files on it. So this is the drive that is being used from our file server here. And I can click on Mount Backup and specify a new drive letter. I will choose the X drive letter, click OK, and now the drive is not being restored. So we're not actually moving data here. We are looking into our snapshot backup, and we're just taking a peek on how the backup looks like, and we are exposing this on the local machine as the X drive, and it's right here. Okay? So we have not restored anything, but we can take a peek at the backup here. It so happens that my Exchange server is also running on the same machine here. So this machine also serves as an Exchange server. And I can simply click refresh here to see whether my backup has finished, and it has in fact. I have two backup locations here. One is TSM and one is local. So I actually did a snapshot backup and I did a backup into TSM. What I want to do now is I want to select the backup that I have in TSM, and you can see that we have a variety of restore options here. We could restore the complete database, we could restore an individual mailbox, or we could even go more granular and restore just one individual email, and that is what I am going to do here. You can see that I get now prompted to select a mailbox, and I will select one that is the 9B049CBA mailbox. And TSM Flash Copy Manager console is now taking a peek look into that particular mailbox, and we will later on be able to restore individual files. So while this is running, we will keep going and revisit that server later on. We will now switch gears and look into our Microsoft SQL Server. Our Microsoft SQL Server has also been backed up, and I can see the available backups here. Again, one copy in TSM, one copy local. The local one is the snapshot backup. and this is the one which I want to mount now. I'm selecting a target directory here. I'm not going to do a drive letter now. I'm going to select the directory, and I call this SQL mount. So what I do now is I'm selecting one particular database, and I am mounting this database into a specific drive letter. And while this mount is going on, just to prove right now this directory is empty at this point in time, I will again move on, and we will revisit Microsoft SQL Server later. And the next step now, we are going to look into Vmworld. So we're entering the world of virtualization, and we're logging into a specific machine, which happens to be my vCenter machine. Everything I show you now could be done on a proxy server, it could be on a local laptop, or it could be in guest. And what I'm doing here, I'm using the TSM recovery agent, how we call it. And in that recovery agent, I can select a backup of a virtual machine, of an individual virtual machine, and I can then select a specific snapshot date. So I select one virtual machine that we've backed up before, select the backup date, this morning, and I also can select an individual disk or volume. And all I have to do is click Mount. And now, similar to what we've seen before, we are presented with a screen where we can select a drive letter. I'm going to use the X drive again. And I click OK. And please note on the right side, we are mounting now the X drive. Again, we're not moving any data. We're just taking a peek into our TSM backup, and the X drive just appeared, and all the files that were on that volume, on that virtual machine, are now visible from here. We will also revisit that later and restore individual files. Okay, this brings us into stage 2. Now we're going to fast forward our scenario a few weeks, days, or months to a time when a series of unfortunate events happen. Unfortunate events which create a need to use our backup copies to restore our business. Unfortunate event number 1, a whole collection of file servers crash and the data is corrupted. For demonstration purposes, we're going to restore one Windows, one Unix, and one Linux server. So let's navigate back to our enterprise portal. And we can now select from here any of the machines that we're protecting. You see everything we're protecting right here. Okay? And I can select just any of these servers, and I can now, from a centralized point of view, keep in mind the user could also do this on the individual machine, but I'm now in my centralized portal, and I can go from here, and I can select a specific virtual machine. Not virtual machine, I'm using a physical server now, excuse me. So I'm going to use FS AIX Blade, that is an AIX machine, which is a file server. And I'm going to launch a web interface here, our TSM web interface here, which will allow me to restore. So I have to authenticate. And I have now the ability to choose individual files, individual volumes. I want to just restore everything. So all the volumes that I have on that machine, I would like to restore. I decide to go to the original location. So I'm basically assuming that server has been crashed, and now I have to restore everything. And I just click on Replace. And I apply actions to all remaining files. That means that I'm actually kicking off an overwrite here. So this is a true recovery scenario here. I click on Replace, and as you can see in the task list here, the restore is running. let's do the same thing for a Linux machine. Okay. Same procedure here, common interface. Doesn't matter which Linux, Unix, or Windows version we have, we see the same interface. So TSM for demo. And again, I could restore individual files. I do not want to do this. I want to select complete three volumes here. Click Restore. Same thing, original location. Overwrite everything. And now let's take a look at a Windows machine. Another file server. I'm going to use SandBridge here. That is a Windows NT file server. Same interface comes up. You can see the task list down here, which basically shows me that the restores are still going on in the background. Okay. Again, restore. TSM4. Telling you my password here. Okay. I click File Level, and there's an H drive and an I drive. So I'm going to select both of them, H and I. Click on Restore. Same procedure, original destination, and replace everything. Okay, this is all I had to do here. Now let's move to unfortunate event number 2. An individual accidentally deletes an important file from a file server. In many cases, the users aren't the most adept at system administration, so the TSM admin gets involved to restore the file for them. And that's what I'm going to do here. I will mount a drive from a snapshot backup and restore an individual file. Remember, we've already done that mount. So we go back to on our file server here. We look into the interface, and we can see that the K drive has been mounted as X drive. Okay? So all I have to do here to restore an individual item is I just go to my K drive. Let's delete demo file 0 in this case. And my X drive is my backup, which sits inside TSM. And I can do a copy, Control-C, and paste, Control-V, on the K drive. And that was it. File has been restored. I also want to draw your attention on the size of demo file 1. That's an original file, 1,108 kilobyte. Demo file 1. On the X drive, it has the same size. So this is proof enough that it's actually same file size, and we have also restored an individual file. Okay, now let's take a look at our Exchange server. And you can see that my previous mount of a number of mailboxes was successful. I can see this by looking at this source here. And in here, this is, again, the TSM Flash Copy Manager console. I can see all the items, and I can also see the user's inbox. Okay? So it's accessible from here. And what I want to do now is I want to use Microsoft's Outlook web app and show you how the inbox of that user looks like. So I'm now looking at the actual inbox of my user, and I have sorted this by subject. And the first email that comes up is email with subject A. I will go ahead and delete that email now. So I've deleted it. I can go into deleted items folder, into the recycle bin, and also get rid of it from here. I really want to refresh to make sure everything's gone. Please note, right next to the inbox, there is no number right now, so there is no unread email. Okay, so I've deleted one email now. Let's go back to our TSM Flash Copy Manager interface and sort that particular backup for subject. We find the email with subject A right here, and I can actually click on Restore Messages to Original Inbox. That's all I need to do, and it's now going to be restored into the original inbox. We have a variety of options here. We can also copy and paste using the Flash Copy Manager management interface. We could bring back a complete mailbox. We could restore the whole mailbox store. I've just showed you this one here, and it was successful. It took 4 seconds. And we come back later to that scenario, and we'll actually verify that this email has been restored. Okay, now another unfortunate event, number 4, a Microsoft SQL Server application corrupted a row in a table. Again, trouble tickets for situations like this usually end up with a database administrator. And following a similar process, as the DBA, I will launch the TSM Flash Copy Manager interface from my console to recover an individual row in a table. So we go back to our Microsoft SQL Server. We can see that our mount here was successful. Remember, I took them back up and I mounted it under a specific drive, which is KSQL mount. And it shows up here now, and I can go into this and I can take actually a peek in here, and I can see my database sitting right here, the MDF file. What I want to do now is I want to simply copy those individual files that make up a Microsoft SQL Server database, and I want to restore them into a separate folder. It's 10 gigabytes, so this will actually take some time. So we will come back to that later. And that brings us to unfortunate event number 5. A Hyper-V virtual machine is corrupted, and it has to be restored to a different location. So I'll launch my TSM client here to perform the restore. It's a simple matter of navigating to the appropriate VM and clicking on Restore. But before I do that, I would like to show you our Hyper-V environment real quick here. So I am on a machine called Foxtrot 2, and we can see 5 virtual machines up and running. Vista 32 is one of them. So they're actually started and running, and we have backed them up before. Okay? Now I would like to restore this virtual machine to a different destination, and the other destination is mid-range 2. Mid-range 2, as Hyper-V Manager shows, has no running virtual machines right now. So I go to Restore, and I can simply select the VM that I would like to restore. Let's pick Vista 32. I can choose a point of time. I will just go with the last one. All I need to do is click on Restore. And that's all I have to do here. Now my task list shows me the progress of each individual file here. And while this is going, I want to take a look at Vmworld. Vmworld, I'm using vCenter here, and we have a plugin. We provide a plugin that's a TSM plugin that a vCenter administrator could use. And this unfortunate event, number 6, means a virtual machine is, VMware virtual machine is corrupted in this case. And similar to the last step, I will now restore a virtual machine to a new location under a new name. So I use our interface, and I navigate to the Restore panel here. And my primary site is the TSM Development Lab site. And from here, I can look into all of my backups. I'm going to just simply use the first virtual machine. We used that one before when we did the mount, remember? I can select the restore point, and all I need to do is click on Restore. We have a wizard, gives me a nice summary here. And I can select an alternate location, and I will call this restored VM. And I want to go to a different site. I want to go to my DR site here. So all I have to do is specify my different site here. New name. Please keep in mind, restored VM is the name. And I get a summary. I click Finish, and now my restore is running, and I can monitor the restore task right from here. So we will revisit Hyper-V and Vmworld later on to really make sure that we have restored these virtual machines. You can see there's action going on in vCenter. Okay, for the last time, I would like to navigate back to my file server. And my file server, remember I have files restored from my X drive to my K drive. The files are all there. And let's just look at the sizes. So my X drive, the demo file 1 has 1024 kilobyte, and the same on the K drive. What I want to do now is open that file and prove to you that there's actual data in that file. So the individual file restore was successful. For Exchange, remember what we did? We restored an individual message, individual email with subject A, and I'm bringing up Outlook a web app, and you can see the number 1 right here. The email shows up right up here, so it has been restored. It is available in the user's mailbox. That was the one with subject A. So that has been proven as well. Now, let's look at Microsoft SQL Server. Microsoft SQL Server, we have actually kicked off a restore, which just finished in time. And I have now the database files in a new directory called K SQL Restore. And I can navigate to Microsoft SQL Server Management Console. I can connect. And in here, I can see all my databases. DemoDB is the old database. I'll rename this now to DemoDB Old. Okay. I could have deleted this as well. I just renamed it now, and I simply click on Attach, and I select the location. My location is actually K SQL Restore. This is where my MDF file is. That is the restored MDF file. All I have to do is click OK, and voila, the database is back. DemoDB is here. So that's my restored database, and I can go in here, I can go in tables, and I can actually restore an individual table row right from here back into my original database. Okay, this was SQL Server. I don't think that my restores for the Hyper-V and the Vmworld VMs are finished yet. So we'll just switch gears and move on to step 4, which is host-based replication. So I want to show you now how to kick off host-based replication for all servers. I will use, again, TSM's node replication function. This time, we'll replicate a possible target server, similar to what we did in stage 1, but this time we will change the RPO. So we'll navigate back to our enterprise portal. We can see that actually the restores of the file servers have finished. So they are basically, oh well, this one is still going, and this one is also still going. But it doesn't really matter. I can now work in parallel, and from here, I can go back and, oh, now one finished, and I can kick off my host-based replication. Remember, this was the one we used before. I am now going to use replication to host, which is inactive at this point in time. I am going to set this active. I am going to select today, and I am going to use 10. It's 10:35 right now. Let's do 10:40, or maybe 10:45 a.m. And the schedule priority is 1. And now I want to take a peek into the retention. So I want to, into the repetition. So this admin schedule runs every hour, okay? And this is what I specify here. If I would want to go half hour, I would just have 2 schedules and run them, each one of them hourly. So this one is actually 1 hour. I just click next. I can specify the days of the week, and that's all I need to do. I click finish, and I have activated that schedule. Click OK, and now it's going to start. You can see the future button here. Okay, so my backups have all finished by now. Most of my restores have finished, except the one for an individual virtual machine for Hyper-V and an individual virtual machine for Vmworld. They're still running in the background, and I will revisit them in a couple of minutes. For now, I would like to show you how our backups and restores are showing up in our new enterprise portal. So we are going to replace this enterprise portal that you see right here with a new enterprise portal. And this is our new enterprise portal. It is called the Tivoli Storage Manager Operations Center. And I can use my login here. So I'm logging into it right now. Okay. And you can see it comes up real fast. It is built to support a perfect ease of use. So we are very proud of this new interface. It runs very quickly, and it has a dashboard built in, which you see right here. In that dashboard, I can see the TSM clients, which means protected servers. I can see alerts. I can email alerts. So let's say a backup schedule fails. I can email this from here. I can see my TSM servers. I can see my TSM databases. I can see the health of my TSM database. I can see what's going on. I can see the network traffic that's going on. I can see my applications that are being protected. Same for my virtual machines. And what I want to do right now is I want to click into this view, which basically shows me my backup schedules. So the first entries here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those are my servers that I have been backed up. So that was my SQL server, that was my Exchange server, and those were all the file servers starting with FS. Their backups were successful, okay? So I can see this right here, and they show up as green, meaning the schedules were successfully executed. So I can see this here in this dashboard view. And what I can also see here is I can see my storage pools. And remember, we're using the dedupe pool here, and the dedupe pool has a capacity of 500 gigabytes. 112 are being used, so those were all the backups, and 388 are free. So we have leveraged data deduplication, and that's why we don't see 200 gigabytes here. Okay, so that's our new enterprise portal. In addition, we have reports. Okay, and one of the reports, and we're leveraging Cognos technology to display these reports, and we are delivering reports out of the box. And I am going to look into one of them. I have to log in here again. So my login expired. I'm going to log in here again. So my client activity status is one of the reports that I would like to show you now. We have a variety of reports here. I can specify a date range, and I will just do 6 a.m. till 11:59 a.m. And I can here select my servers. I'm going to select the TSM demo server. I select backups, so I want to see all my backups. I could also select the restores. Let's just do both for now. Click on Finish, and the report is being generated, and it will basically show me the data that has been transferred. So we can see all our servers here, Exchange, SQL, all the file servers, and the data being transferred. I can go to the bottom page. Remember, I have included restores, so we see the backups and the restores here in that report. And that altogether was 154 gigabytes. So that was one report, and as I said before, we have a variety of reports. We could also look at the current storage pool summary, for example. Again, select my TSM server, go Finish, and report is being created. I can see our dedupe pool here and the dedupe space saved and how much space we saved. Okay, now let's log back into our Operations Center. And in here, I want to show you the storage pools on my target server. So this is to prove that actually our cloud-based replication has worked, and you can see data has been transferred here. So that shows me that my target is populated with data. Okay, I've showed you basically everything that was part of this demo, except 2 restores, one for VMware and one for Hyper-V. So let's navigate back. First, let's take a look at VMware and see how our restores worked here. I go back to vCenter, and I can see right away the restore was a success. Okay, so virtual machine has been restored under a new name on a different location, into a different location. Let's go back to Home, Host and Clusters. This is now vCenter, and I am seeing that restored VM right here. Okay? So the restored VM is here, and I can power it on, and that is proof that it actually has been restored. And you can see power on virtual machine, green arrow up here. The virtual machine called restored VM, which was originally the TSM Demo 1 machine, is now running in that secondary site. So that worked just fine, and I can now take a look at Hyper-V. Hyper-V, also my restore completed here. Let's close this, and we can see the virtual machine, Vista 32, that was the one that we restored, shows up here in Hyper-V Manager. I can go ahead and start this virtual machine now, and it succeeded, and it is running, and I could actually connect to it. There will probably be some Windows screen here showing the booting off of Windows 32. But I know from the running stage here that this virtual machine is actually running. So that was successful as well. This brings us now into stage 3, differentiators. One differentiator that I want to mention is data deduplication and compression. You have seen throughout this demo that we have actually used data deduplication, and we also have another accelerator, which is compression. Compression is also built into our product and can be enabled on the client sides. So we have that available. Another competitive differentiator that we have is that our product does leverage array-based snapshots for backup and restore. And I want to show you that a little bit. Let's go back to Exchange, okay? And remember that was the mailbox that we restored. And I want to show you now a different view, which is the mailbox restore view. And in that view, I can show you the actual restore options. And the restore options have a field, and this is called instant restore. Instant restore means that we are restoring a snapshot from a target within a disk subsystem. Okay, so when we did the backup, we did what we call the snapshot backup with IBM technology that's usually called a flash copy. And what we can do is when it comes to the recovery, assuming you have an IBM disk subsystem, we do support instant restore, which means we take the snapshot that we have on the target and we can do a flash copy backwards and put that right back onto the, we can basically take the target volume and make it available as a new source volume. Instant restore. That is a competitive differentiator. Another one that I have just simply assumed here is that we are using an intelligent disk subsystem. And we did in this demo. And this screen shows you that the intelligent disk subsystem which we used was an IBM XIV machine. So we actually did hardware-based snapshot for Exchange. We have this capability available for Exchange, for SQL. We have it available for file systems on Windows. We also have a custom application support for this function. And even on the Unix side, we have that available for Oracle DB2, and SAP on Oracle, SAP on DB2, and also for file systems and custom applications. So that is a competitive differentiator. And I want to show you one more differentiator that we have. And that differentiator surfaces in our web client, and we call this on an archive function. And let me real quick go here into my archiving screen. All my restores have finished. Let's go to the archive. And archiving for us means we can select individual files. Let's just select a couple of files here. And we can click on Archive. And now we're archiving. Usually archiving is a function that is being used for long-term data retention. The archive completed. And I can now go to Retrieve. By the way, we also leverage data deduplication for our archives here. And I can find these files again, and I could retrieve them. So that is a competitive differentiator. And with this, I would like to conclude this demo. You have experienced that TSM's leadership in scale and economic efficiency is what drives us to include features like deduplication and compression at no extra charge. In this webcast, we have demonstrated operational simplicity in configuring and running backups, restoring and replicating data, and a few unique capabilities of TSM that you won't find in competitive offerings. We have also demonstrated deep purpose-built integration with VMware and TSM's ability to help transform yesterday's storage scientist admin into tomorrow's SLA-centric admin. Thank you very much for your attention.